You have meticulously optimized your diet, your sleep architecture, and your digital environment. You believe you have engineered the perfect conditions for elite cognitive output. But the moment you sit down to execute deep work, your physical mechanics completely collapse. Despite the premium ergonomic chair beneath you, you immediately revert to a primitive, highly destructive posture. You lean intensely into the screen. You round your shoulders forward. You initiate a state of severe postural asymmetry. You believe this is simply a bad habit. You assume the only biological consequence of slouching is mild lower back pain or temporary stiffness at the end of your workday. You are mathematically incorrect. This is not a mere muscular inconvenience. You are actively suffocating your prefrontal cortex. By breaking the vertical alignment of your cervical spine, you have engineered a severe biological bottleneck, cutting off the literal fuel supply to your brain. To reclaim your focus, you must understand the exact vascular mechanics of how blood actually reaches your brain. Your brain is a metabolic furnace. Despite accounting for a tiny fraction of your body weight, it consumes over 20% of your body's total oxygen and glucose supply. This massive payload of oxygenated blood is delivered primarily through the carotid and vertebral arteries. These critical biological pipelines run directly through your cervical spine, your neck. When your posture is perfectly aligned, when your ears are stacked perfectly over your shoulders, this vascular highway is wide open. The delivery system operates with absolute frictionless efficiency. But the human head is incredibly heavy. For every single inch your head moves forward out of neutral alignment, its relative weight on your cervical spine exponentially increases. Clinical biomechanics defines this devastating structural flaw as forward head posture. To prevent your heavy skull from simply falling forward onto the desk, the suboccipital muscles in the back of your neck must hypercontract. This severe, chronic muscular tension physically compresses the vertebral arteries. You have literally put a mechanical kink in the biological hose. You are mathematically throttling the blood and oxygen supply to your own executive command center. This physical vascular restriction triggers an immediate, cascading cognitive crisis. Deep work, the act of writing complex code, architecting a business strategy, or parsing difficult data, requires an immense continuous supply of oxygenated glucose to synthesize ATP. Because your slouched, asymmetrical posture is mechanically restricting cerebral blood flow, the delivery of this vital glucose physically slows down. Your neural pathways are starved of their primary fuel source. Your prefrontal cortex begins to starve. The human brain is a survival machine. To conserve its rapidly depleting energy reserves, your brain actively shuts down non-essential, high-friction cognitive processes. It unplugs your executive function to keep your baseline biological systems running. You call this afternoon brain fog. You assume you are simply tired and that you need another cup of coffee or a new productivity hack to push through the resistance. Caffeine cannot fix a mechanical restriction. A chemical stimulant can't unkink a physically blocked artery. Your brain is not lacking stimulation. It is mathematically lacking the raw oxygen required to synthesize complex thought. But the cerebral suffocation is only half of the biological failure you are inducing. When you sit with an upright, perfectly aligned posture, Your diaphragm can fully expand and contract, pulling deep, oxygen-rich breaths all the way down into the lower lobes of your lungs. When you slouch and round your shoulders, you physically compress your own chest cavity. You trap your internal organs, and your diaphragm becomes structurally paralyzed. Your body is mathematically forced to abandon deep, restorative breathing. To acquire oxygen, it must switch to shallow, rapid, apical chest breathing just to survive the physical compression. In clinical neurology, rapid, shallow chest breathing is not a neutral event. It is the exact physiological trigger required to activate the sympathetic nervous system. You are sitting safely in a climate-controlled corporate office, but your compressed posture is frantically signaling to your amygdala that you are suffocating, trapping you in a biological fight-or-flight state. You have manually engineered a state of chronic physical anxiety, completely destroying your focus simply by leaning too close to your screen. To eliminate this friction and restore your executive function, you must immediately restore structural integrity to your vascular highway. You must execute the alignment protocol. Pull your screen physically closer to the edge of your desk. Do not lean forward toward the data. Force the data to come to your eyes. Stack your ears perfectly and directly over your shoulders. The cervical kink is mathematically eliminated. Your chest cavity expands. Your vertebral arteries open to their maximum capacity. A relentless flood of oxygenated glucose rushes directly into your starving prefrontal cortex. Your ability to maintain absolute, unbroken focus is biologically restored. You have successfully unkinked the vascular highway and restored vital oxygen to your brain. But absolutely none of this matters if the blood reaching your brain is so severely dehydrated that it cannot properly conduct electrical signals across your synapses. Click here to discover the exact neurobiology of the hydration trap and learn why drinking plain water is mathematically diluting your cognitive bandwidth.